we can start our greeting. Hello, 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 hello. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Welcome to the movement. We are the movement. We're a motivational organization here to educate minds, empower, nurture, and transform. And yes, we are a movement to move. Go ahead and get that neck going in that. We are a
Girl, you do the neck
movement
and the
to
lips.
move. Yes, we want to help you thrust into your purpose so that you can start living the best version of yourself and win. Right, Annette?
That is so right. And Anita did some extra hellos tonight, so I'm going to piggyback on her. Hello, hello, and hello. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are about to take a journey, and hopefully you'll stay on with us and travel down this road.
Yes, we're always excited to have our little moment. So never
Yeah,
mind us when we get going and we start doing
we
our
do.
shows and we start
I know.
rolling our neck because we're excited. We're always excited about sharing, what we're doing and sharing our discussions, our topics. They're always wonderful. They're always informative. And hey, for those of you who are joining us on Facebook or seeing this later, we thank you for stopping by. You could have gone anywhere else, but you stopped by here to have this discussion with myself and our co-host, Annette L. Anderson of the Movement Worldwide. Yes. So we have a great discussion as always, and we're gonna dive right in and start talking about some of this stuff. It's such a strange day and age. But one thing that never goes cold in that is some of the old sayings. You ever notice that there's some things that your mama used to say and your
Yeah.
daddy used to say, or old sayings, quotes, comments, all kinds of things. They always come back around. There's no saying that says what goes around comes around. That and some things just never die. There's some things that just hold on to that meaning forever, that hold on to that strength and that meaning. Well, our discussion tonight, we have a great topic. The topic is from a very, very familiar phrase. The phrase, Houston, we've had a problem, actually is often misquoted because the actual phrase that the astronauts said on Apollo 13 was, Houston, we've had a problem. But it has been coined today in today's age. You can call it idioms, or you can call it whatever. They call it a Mandela effect when they say something comes out and means something different than what it is.
Mm.
However, we've coined the very familiar phrase, Houston, we have a problem. And these are the words of the astronauts on Apollo 13 on the mission as they reported a major electrical fault in one of the oxygen tanks while they were actually 200,000 miles away from Earth. So imagine being 200,000 miles. I mean, we panic sometimes when we're 50 and 20 miles away from home. But imagine being 200,000 miles away from home and you're needing help. But with the help of the mission control team was called Houston. The astronauts were able to overcome, and they were able to get the problem solved and make it back to Earth alive. So, like Apollo 13's mission, life can sometimes be like an adventure or a journey to an unknown. Sometimes you can spin into a place, into an abyss, and see some unforeseen challenges. And just like the astronauts realize, sometimes you realize that your problems that you're having can actually be overcome if you are connected to the right people or person. You can actually solve these things. And this is one of the things to remember, people. We need people. We need each other. Don't think that you can do this thing alone. You can't. You're not designed to. God did not design us to be alone. There's some people, I like being by myself. I do like peace. I like being a little, I'm a little introverted. I can be. However, I do understand that I need people, and I love having friends and confidants and people that I can count on. Not everybody is going to be your buddy, friend, pal, but and not everybody's going to be faithful and loyal. But that's a part of life. But you need people, and when you're connected to the right people or the right person, when you are having a problem like the guys on Apollo 13, you have to be able to have somebody to call on.
Yeah.
Not just somebody who's willing to help, but somebody who's able to help when you call. And that's another thing. somebody who's able to help you. Now, if you know, my mama used to always say, be careful who you connected to. Uh, she used to use the phrase, the blind leading the blind. It's like, how y'all gonna help one another? When both of y'all in the same predicament, somebody got to be up so you can pull the other one up. But if both of y'all down, I mean, you have to be careful who you're connected to. Are you connected to the right types of people? Somebody that can help you, and not always. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that everybody you're connected to who may be below you are, you know, and that's the problem. No, what about the people who are ahead of you or above you? That's why we always encourage people to connect with other businesses and ministries and people who are doing something that you're trying to do, but they're 5 steps ahead of you. So you have those people who are about 5 steps ahead of you. And then you have those people who are about 10 steps ahead of you. And then you have those people who are like those goals, like the Oprah goals. So of course, you can't make Oprah your 5 step ahead person because baby, she is more than 5 steps ahead. So you have to reach a little further for that one. But you have to be able to have somebody who's able to help you when you're calling and you need help. And they realized they had a problem. They were able to call back to home base and they were able to get home. So what they did was they realized that they had a problem. That's one of the things that we have to do. We have to come to terms that, you know, when we have an issue, admit it, recognize it, realize you have a problem. The next thing to do is to call out for help. Another thing, receive the instructions that you are given and not just listen to them, but follow the instructions. And these are for the hardest things it is for some of us to do because of pride. You know, sometimes we don't want to admit that we have an issue and that we need to ask for help.
Yeah.
So I want us to be mindful that, you know, you have to come to realization that you need people. And when you need some help, and when you can't solve a problem, admit it and say, you know what, I don't know how to do that. I need to call somebody who knows how to do it. Because I can sit here for 2 weeks and try and figure something out. And when I can't, let me tell you, sometimes I get stuck. I know that you might think I'm real smart in software and things of that nature, but sometimes I get stuck and I will call Brenda Jackson and I'll be like, Brenda, I need you to help me figure this out. Because there are some things that I just don't know. And there are some things that other people, you know, don't know that I know. So we just help each other. But it's hard for us to come to that position to say, you know what, I need help. And
Yeah.
this is what brings me to my verb tonight. You know, I love to go between a transitive and intransitive verb. A transitive verb is one that only makes sense if it exerts its action on an object. An intransitive verb makes sense without it. It just is. Transitive verb needs something to transfer the action to something or someone or an object. So my word tonight, when I looked at this particular phrase and noticed that the astronauts were reaching out for help, they were actually sending out a distress call.
Mm.
So the word I'm using tonight is distress. Because when you're in distress, you know, it being in distress means that you're having anxiety and you're fearful, you're afraid, and you're desperate and you're frantic and you need it right away. And sometimes when we, you know, now you know, you can be prideful if you want to, but sometimes when you're in a position and your ship is sinking, that ain't the time to be prideful. You might be able to dog paddle a little bit, but that's not going to keep you afloat. And you need to send out a distress signal. And I was looking at, you know, different types of distress signals. And I looked at the word distress. The word distress, and you know, I always want to have something transitive and intransitive. And you see what the verbs mean. The verb intransitively means that it only makes sense if it exerts it to an action or an object. Intransitive verb makes sense without one. Well, this particular word is a transitive verb. It is a transitive verb, and the word means to subject great strain or difficulties to cause to worry or be troubled or upset. Great strain or difficulties. And there are some times that we are experiencing difficulties in this season. We're in such a strange climate, y'all. It is very concerning to the masses. I know I am extremely concerned every day about where we are and how things are panning out with the racial tension, with the political climate, with even the position of the church. And I'm not going to get into this who's right, who's wrong, who shot John conversation. However, it is definitely a time to be in prayer and a time to connect to your purpose, because life is having such a different meaning, and I am fearful for the younger generation who are going to have to come up and grow up through this world and correct some things and fix some stuff. But you know what? Every generation has to. It's just that we're living out. At my age. It's like, wow, I can't believe we're here. I can't believe in 2020 we're facing some of the issues that we are. It is such a strange climate. And there are so many people who are doing without, living without, in trouble financially, don't have food to feed their families, a lot of things. And then, to add to that, having the mothers and the families and the children who have lost their loved ones to police brutality, and the mysterious hangings and all of those. There's so much going on. And then with the pandemic, there are people who are suffering. I just got a call today from a friend of mine. Her and her husband both have tested positive. So we have to be in prayer for one another and be prayerful for our communities and for our country, for this world, and to actually get active as far as what we are to do. So when you don't know what to do, send up a distress signal. Send out a distress
Yeah.
call. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know. I don't know how to. I want to do something, but I don't quite know how to fix this. It's okay to call out. And so that I'm going to open up my presentation tonight. And granted, of course, as I always say, we don't have a discussion before we have these topics. As a matter of fact, y'all can thank Annette for most of them, because because it's Annette who comes up with a lot of this stuff. And it's like, wow. So what am I supposed to do with this, Annette? What am I supposed to do with Houston? We have a problem. Very interesting. So so tonight, that's the topic that we're using. And I'm just saying, as far as where we are right now in the world, we do have a problem.
Yeah.
We have a problem. And the problem, the ultimate problem solver, God is in control still. And the one thing, before I move past this, the one thing that he always urges us to do is pray. And when I think about the passage of scripture, if my people will call by my name, would humble
Yes.
themselves. And we have to humble ourselves. We have to seek his face. We have to turn from our wicked ways. And we have to pray, y'all, because we do have a problem. We have problem after problem after problem. But then when I look at this thing from a personal perspective, you know, I've been sitting, I would say probably for the last week, I felt more unproductive than I have in a long time, because there's still such a shift that's going on around me with the world. And then I don't know if you feel
Oh
that
yeah.
shift. It's like a
Oh yeah.
weird shift. It's like a hard shift. Every word that I could come up with to describe it: hard, loud, grimy, piercing, rough. I feel like it's almost like a rusty nail in something trying to shift. That's how bad, that's how difficult this shift is. That's the best way I can describe it. And so when you feel it, when you see it going on in the world, it's going on in individual lives too. And sometimes we find ourselves in a place that we don't understand why we're here. And it's not necessarily anything. It could be not anything financially, or anything dealing with health, or your family or whatever. Things could be going pretty good. You have peace. You're doing okay. You have a roof over your head. You have may not have all the things that you want, but you have what you need for the most part. And life is it could be worse. Life is actually pretty decent, but still there's an unsettling. And I think that's what I've been picking up in that.
Yeah,
There's an
yeah.
unsettling, not with anything that's on the outside, but internally with where I am and what I'm supposed to be doing and how I'm supposed to be functioning at this point in my life. So there's such an unsettling. And that's the shift that I'm feeling. And when I feel like this, when we start to feel this way, this is when we have to definitely make sure that we call out in distress. There's nothing wrong with a distress call. So I looked at some different distress calls, and one that came to me, and I was actually laughing when I thought about this one because I like to watch movies sometimes to ease my mind, and it depends on how I'm feeling at the time. There's some movies I'm like, no, I don't feel like being angry. No, I don't feel like being sad. No, I don't feel like I feel like laughing or I feel like having a little drama. So I'll watch some little funny movie. And one night I was just, it was at the right time that one of Tyler Perry's movies was on. I think it was Diary of a Mad Black Woman.
Oh, yeah.
And when Medea went to the guy's house and drove through the gate, and the little guy was hollering Mayday, Mayday. Well, one thing that I want you to understand is that your distress call has to be loud and it has to be clear. It has to be you can't if you're in distress. What if that little fella who was at the gate with Medea was going, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday? Nobody's going to hear that. So sometimes we downplay what we're feeling.
Yeah.
We'll downplay our situation. And even when people ask, how are you doing? Oh, I'm blessed and highly favored. When the truth of the matter is you were, oh, Jesus, everything is falling apart. But your pride and that position will cause you to sit and oh, I'm good. I'm good. Oh, all is well, honey. All is well when inside you screaming and hollering and slobbering and falling and rolling on the floor. But so therefore your distress call is not loud and it's not clear. You're masking. So one of the things that I want you to get out of the habit of is masking your pain. You don't have to, when you're masking your pain, you're hurting yourself worse. Now, it doesn't mean that you got to cry in public and tell people all your business because, that's not good either when, you pulling somebody down with your violin story. But perhaps because of the fact that you're not sending out a distress call to those people who God may have put in your path, everybody's got one or two people. And even if you need to call this person and vent, even if you need to, sometimes, like, well, I don't tell nobody nothing, nobody nothing but God. Okay, well, how you really telling him? A lot of times will say, I don't tell people my business. I just tell them, take it to the Lord in prayer. Well, obviously, and I can be honest with you and tell you about me, a whole lot of times I don't take it to the Lord in prayer. I want to scream and holler and cry about it. I don't want to pray about it because prayer might make me feel better.
So okay, we like being mad sometimes, huh?
Sometimes we do. Sometimes we do like being mad. Sometimes we want to be angry, especially when somebody comes to you and they try to give you a scripture. You be like, I want to hear that right now. I know everything gonna work out for my good. Because at that moment you want to be angry. You want to have a little pity party. You want to lay down across the bed and beat the bed and kick your legs at the same time and scream and holler.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, a lot of times we won't tell God about it. But there's always gonna be somebody. We have got to get out of that thing. Even if you're gonna go and pay for a therapist. Seek some counsel. Make your distress call loud, like that fella who screamed out Mayday, Mayday, which is my second one, because I actually it made me look this up. And the thing is, a Mayday call is a Mayday call. It was mainly an aircraft call, or for those dealing with weather, and pilots would call out Mayday when there's a problem in altitude or flight level that is brought on by distress. So when you make a distress call for Mayday, that and it came from a French. There was a French word that the word Mayday came from. And when you look at the etymology of that word, it was calling out for help, for like as if you were beyond, or like almost beyond help, like it was your last resort kind of help. And it's a crime to call out a distress mayday signal falsely,
Okay.
because when you call mayday, everything stops and comes at your aid. If a pilot or if a person out at sea sends a mayday distress call, those calls, everything has to stop, because that means that that person is in dire straits and they need help right now. And so, at times, okay, first of all, you have to make your call loud and clear. And when your back is against the wall, because I've been there, and it doesn't even have, like I said, it doesn't even have to be financial. It doesn't have to be dealing with health. It can be just dealing with being stuck. Sometimes you become so, I don't know if you've ever felt this in
Yeah.
that you've become so overwhelmed that you feel like you're
Yeah.
about to choke.
Yeah.
Literally, you feel like you're suffocating in the midst of the I can't breathe movement. That was a distress call. When you heard those men, crying out, and I'm like, every time I see one of those videos, even the newest one of the young man, and I heard him saying, I can't breathe. And when he said the word breathe, he couldn't even hardly catch his breath to say the word. So when someone is calling out a distress call to that magnitude, that means that you need relief right away. That mayday call, it has to be loud and
Yeah.
clear, and it has to be the right type of call. And sometimes, I don't know if you've ever been here, but sometimes you go going straight to a Morse code type of signal. Sometimes you can't even say words.
It's so true.
Sometimes you don't, because you don't know what to say. I remember I had a friend one time. She would just send me, like, I don't know, probably about 20 crying emojis, because and I knew that meant that she couldn't find the words to say what she was feeling.
Yeah.
And I knew those signals. And when you have people in your corner who know you, they'll know the signs. They'll know the
Right.
signs. They'll understand when you say, I just need an ear. I just need to vent. Oh, it's just one of them days. I just need to one of my friends, we used to go and sit in the parking lot and watch people. We used to go get some Starbucks and just sit and watch people. And I'm telling you, sometimes that can be some of the best ways to relieve yourself when you're feeling choked and suffocated. Because an SOS signal it's Morse code, and so it's tapping. It's like three dots, three dashes, three dots, or something like that. So the person on the receiving end knows how to receive those calls. So your distress call can come in many different forms, many different shapes, many different sizes. But that main call, called in the main line, Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. You have to be able to go to God in prayer. I can tell you from a person who really I struggle in my prayer life, and I'm not ashamed to say it. It's nothing to be ashamed about, but I do struggle in it. Not everybody has the gift like Elder Sharon E. Lane Green. It takes Sharon all of about 2 seconds, and she all the way in. For me, I have to focus. I have to concentrate. I have to put my mind. I have to like get away from distractions, because anything can distract me right up out of that place. So I struggle in that area, but I do get my praying done. Now I get it done, but I don't pray as much or as effective as I should. And perhaps when I'm feeling that way, perhaps, make that the first call that you make. Call the main line. Make it loud and clear. Do the Mayday call, Morse code, tap, clap, whatever you have to do, but you have to get his attention.
Yeah.
And then God will lead you where you need to go to get the relief that you need. Because technically, when you're in that place, there is a problem. There is a problem. And I know that
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
feeling and picking up so many people. When I was working on this the last couple of days, and that it was I was stuck on the word distress. I got stuck on distress, and
Wow.
I kept reading about different distress issues, distress matters that have happened down through history. And I'm like, wow, I put myself in people's positions. Like, I wonder what they felt like. I wonder what I wonder what it felt like being in the Twin Towers, and the people who were calling constantly, and 911 was bombarded with frantic distress calls, and people were desperate. And then they started calling their families to say goodbye. People were calling families from the airplane. I put myself in those positions, because sometimes even in your own disaster, within your mind and within your spirit, it feels just like that. It
Yeah.
feels just like that. Like, I'm not gonna make it out of this, but I'm here to tell you that you are gonna make it. I'm laughing at Val. She said, "You all in my Kool-Aid." You have to be able um, to call out to the right sources. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to be encouraging in
Yeah. Listening to you, I about want to go get a tissue. Sitting here like thinking, about trying, put yourself in somebody else's shoes.
that. It's a
That's,
tough place.
yeah, it is. It is. Wow. Wow. All right, let me move on. Ooh, that was kind of deep there. Trouble with a curve. When you look at life, curve is something that's unexpected, surprising, disruptive. Every now and then in life, trouble will throw you a curve, and you didn't expect it. You didn't know what to do about it once it came. So there's often trouble with a curve. Sometimes curves come in your life. It's been be beneficial, but then there's other times that curves come in your life that throws you for a loop. And when Anita was talking about how she was feeling the shift, if you can't feel the shift, then something's wrong. Something's wrong, because it's more than just COVID, and it's more than just flawed. It's a spiritual thing. It's an inner thing. It's hard to describe. And I think for me, Anita, and I'm gonna move on right quickly. I think for me, being saved, it's the way we as Christians have dealt with some things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so troubling in my spirit, man, because we're the ones that the world look to or should look to.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the stuff we say and do, and the way we're so jacked up, it's just it's sad that we can't stand together. But anyway, that's my thought on that.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to learn how to be a warrior, not a warrior. Now,
Mm.
I know it's easier said than done. I know a warrior is a person who is a soldier, a fighter, somebody with strength, uh, but when I say a warrior, there are times in your life that we will worry about some things, but we have to learn that there are some things you just can't do nothing about.
Right.
And I can remember being up all night long with an issue that when I finally went to sleep that morning, I still had the issue. So I had to learn how to choose the battles that I fight.
Mm-hmm.
Every battle is actually won in our minds. So if
Mm-hmm.
you can ever bring your mind under subjection, even though everything may be raggedy, tore up from the floor up, don't look like don't see your way, but if we learn how to deal with the mind,
Mm-hmm.
because individually you are a warrior, but together we're an army.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to understand that together we could stand strong. I mean, one person may not be able to do whatever needs to be done. Like Anita was saying with the young lady sending emojis, she needed help. So it was more than just an army of one. It begins to be an army of two, then an army of three, and then more and more. And so as individuals, we have to understand that we have to stand with people because
Mm-hmm.
we're in a unprecedented times. That's that word they like to say all the time. I don't know why that's the buzzword for 2020. But we're in a time that we've never seen before. And I know we say that all the time, but this is different. This
Mm-hmm.
is different. It's even think about even the smog, this stuff going on in the air. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's supernatural. You
Right.
know that's something going the COVID. That's supernatural. There's some things,
Mm-hmm.
and every now and then in life there has to be some things that get our attention. And so
Mm-hmm.
these are the things that, we have to take to God because you'll never be who you need to be worrying about something you can't do anything about anyway. You have to take it to somebody
Right.
who can fix it. And so I'm guilty of it. And that's why I put it on here. I'm not telling you nothing that I have not gone through. I have been a worrier all my life. I'm just starting to suit up. I'm just starting to put on the proper armor to go out and fight because I have no armor on. Everything that was out there, I have nothing to block it, hit me. But as I live and and as I look at what's going on in society, some of us got to be strong. Some of
Right.
us got to be believe. Somebody got to stand and declare.
Yeah.
So that's why I said a world warrior, not a warrior. And not saying you're not going to worry about some things, but it's just some things that we got to say, you know what, God, you know what? I can't do nothing about that. You fix that and move on. And in my life, I've done that so many times. Now, back in the day, oh my gosh, I can remember losing weight. Dropping. And I'll share this right quick. One time, I had lost so much weight because I was worried about a situation in my life, and I'm gonna tell you something. I was so consumed. I didn't know anything. I couldn't even comprehend. And so my daughter came to the house and she said, well, Mom, why you had that big old safety pin? I had my pants folded in front of me with a safety pin on the outside
Wow.
because I had let life consume me. And I don't care who you are. You may not have been as bad as I was, but there are times when I'm telling you, you don't know when you're going or coming. And so that's why you have to have a relationship. So when these things happen, I'm not saying you're not going to cry. I'm not saying you're not going to be concerned, but you'll be able to take it to somebody who can take care of it because you
Right.
just can't at times. And then we have to look in the mirror and see competition. We so worried about looking at all around at everybody else, what they're doing. Look in the mirror. You the competition of yourself. You have to begin to tell yourself who you are. Actually, Anita, a reflection is an action of bending and folding. It's an
All
image. It
right.
shows an image.
Okay.
And so every
Okay.
now and then in life, you have to bend and fold to get where you need to be. But we want to compete against this person and compete against that person. No, look in the mirror and say, you know what? And I said, girl, yeah, you did good, but girl, I got something for you tomorrow. You have to make sure that you know who you are. Be yourself. Who else is better qualified? There's nobody else better qualified to be me than me.
That's right.
And the improvement begins with an I. I have to look in the mirror and I have to tell myself that I can make it. I have to encourage myself. I have to tell myself you're more than a conqueror because we live in time now. You don't know what you're going to get from day to day. You go to the grocery store, somebody just might curse you out just because you're there. People kind of are losing it. And I have to trust myself when I look in the mirror. I have to trust myself enough when I look in that mirror to make the right decisions for me.
Mhm.
I have to make the right decisions for me, regardless of what
Right.
other people say. They may not agree that what we're doing in movement. They may not agree that we're on the right path. But when I look at that reflection in the mirror, I have to determine that person that looking back at me, first of all, whoever she is, she mighty cute. So she already got it going on. So since she's so cute, I said, okay,
Say
you got
that.
that part together. So get to the place you need to be. So when I look in the mirror, I don't compete against Anita. I can't, I mean, I can sing a little bit, but I know I can't. Listen, let me go up in somebody's studio. She out there, turn me around at the door. Because I can't compete in an area that I'm not capable of competing in. But when I look in the mirror at myself, I can compete against me because I know me. I know my struggles. I know my limitations or lack thereof. And so when I look in the mirror, I see this person who may not have it together today, may not have that business running today, may not have that organization running today. But I tell look in the mirror and I'm gonna see the business owner. I'm gonna look in the mirror and I'm gonna say, "Atta girl," and then I'm gonna tell that person, even when I get to the point where I'm trying to get to, I'm gonna tell that girlfriend, I'm getting ready to go to the next level because I decided I'm not gonna stay in that one place. I'm trying to get somewhere. I'm not trying to get nowhere just to stay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get somewhere so I can get there, then get somewhere else, and then get there and get somewhere else. So that person you look in the mirror, you know, and the trouble is gonna come. Trouble's gonna come, but you got to keep encouraging yourself, even when trouble knock on your door. And listen, trouble know your address. Don't think, I don't care if you're in a gated community, trouble know you where you live. You can live on a hill and imagine trouble can find
Oh.
you. So regardless, trouble will knock on your door. And
Mhm.
there's a purpose behind your problem. You know, there's a purpose. I I used to tell God, I say, oh, I have mercy. Everything happened to me. You know, I used to tell myself it looked like anything went wrong, you know, but that was a trick of the enemy, you know, but there was a purpose behind my pain. You know, I had to go through some stuff to reach my goal. Because when I can't reach my goal because there was a problem, then I have to try a different approach because there's a purpose behind my pain. When I'm criticized, I can't help that you don't like what you know what I'm doing. But I understand something about even when I'm criticized. When I'm criticized, I had to come to the conclusion that I can't please everybody. Everybody's not gonna like my hair. They're not gonna like the way I walk. They're not gonna
Exactly.
like the way I talk. So I had to understand there's a purpose behind my pain, like a money. So you know that's a problem there with like a money. But then I have to figure out innovative ways to make money. If I can cook cakes, then I need to begin to bake cakes and sell them. Of course, I don't cook that
Mhm.
much, but if I know how to sew, then maybe I need to sew. You have to understand how to take that problem and turn that problem and it turn it into purpose. You
Right.
know, so if you feel stressed, you know, and so many of us are stressed now, but maybe you're so stressed because you need to declutter some stuff. You
Come
got too
on.
much stuff all piled up. You got some clothes that you've been in your closet for 10 years. Tell me you're going to lose weight, baby. You ain't never getting back in a size 8. At the best, you may be a 10. So we have to learn how to declutter. We have to learn to get
Yes.
to the point that we release stuff. You know, because there's a purpose behind your problem. There's a purpose behind your pain. There's a purpose because you know, let me say this and I move on. I had my little niece over, and you know, she's a little girl. She probably about 12, but she, you know, she a little healthy. And so I had bags and I had about 3 bags of clothes. I always got a bunch of clothes and shoes and crap I'm getting rid of. So I was getting ready to call my sister. I said, well, I'm gonna give them to her, let her give them out to the community. So this baby came and she wanted to look at them. And most of the stuff she could wear. She blessed my soul so much because the stuff that I discarded, the stuff that didn't have no purpose for me
Mhm.
anymore. She began to say, I love this. Oh, I'm gonna
Mhm.
take this shirt and I'm gonna put this in. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put this on tomorrow. Oh, thank you
Wow.
so much. All these clothes are mine. See, you know, but whatever you go through, there's a purpose. I went through all my clothes and I was gonna give them away, but I blessed this child. So just
Mhm.
know that whatever you go through, you know, there's purpose behind your problem. You're not just going through, Anita, just to go through this United States of America. And, you know, I always say the divided state of America. They want to call it united. Okay, I call it divided. You know, but we are not going through in this country just to go through.
Right.
There is going to be a purpose behind this problem. There's going to be purpose behind this pain. I've already seen some purpose. I've seen some things I never thought I would see, you know, with the statues. And, you know, people can play crazy, but they know what they represent. You know, I don't care what nobody say. So things that
Exactly.
even when I was growing up, I never liked the flag, the Confederate flag. But when
Mhm.
nothing I could do, I just pretty much ignored them because I said, oh, well, that's just the way it is. But we're living in a time that behind the death of one man. See, because God don't have to use but one person to shift a nation. He can take one person, Anita, and give us enough
That's
money
true.
to
That's true.
propel us into the destiny that He's called us to. So He don't have to take but one person. He took one man and shift a nation. In fact, that's not true. He took one man and shift the world because in so
Come
many
on.
countries they were marching. So don't be discouraged because even though it don't look like you're going to get it together, just know there's a purpose behind that problem. And
But you know
also
what,
that,
Annette? And while you're saying, I just want to stick a little pin in that. Something,
okay,
you know, you because you're saying it took one man, and sometimes we can think our lives are so
yeah,
insignificant.
yes,
You would be surprised at the little thing that God might use in someone who thinks that they're not, you know, you might think that you're not of status or educated enough or too old or too young. But God will take the foolish things of this world to confound the wise.
sure
He
would.
put everybody at a halt,
Yes,
and he brought so much attention to the entire world through one man.
that's whether you like it or not. because God is not trying to be popular.
Come
So
on, preacher.
whether you like it or not, he took that man, whether you accept it or you didn't like it, he took it and he shifted the nation. And so we're saying that to say this: God can take you and shift. He can take you and shift the life of somebody. I remember T.D. Jakes saying how one man heard his cassette of him preaching. One man
Mm-hmm.
heard his cassette and was blessed, and it shifted. And so I believe, Anita, and I'm just gonna prophesy and I'm moving on. But I just believe there's going to be a shift over the movement. I'm
Prophesy.
just going to declare it
Prophesy.
publicly. I believe that God is going to send somebody to help shift us to where we need to be because we've been faithful. So you have to learn how to be faithful over the few things, just the little things. And you'll be surprised what he'll give you so much more. And so I'm going to my next point because I can work on that a minute, but we don't have the time. So, so next up, this is something I need all you guys to put in the chat for me.
Mm-hmm.
Describe yourself in one word. I just need that in
Mm.
the chat. Describe yourself in one word. I just need you, just one word, that how you view yourself. And I know that's sometimes difficult because I got a lot of words that how I view myself, but I need to see how you view yourself, how you look at yourself. When you look in the mirror, what word pop in your head that describes who you are? What word that you say, yes, I'm this. Okay, I see. Okay, multitask.
Valor centerpiece.
Amazing. Okay. All right. All right. I got a couple of them. Uh, I'm looking. So we got Anita multitasking. We got strong. All right, Yolanda. Vibrant. Woo woo. Sandy is encourager. All right. Come on. Come on.
That's
All
very
right.
accurate.
Yes. Yes. So
Yes, what is accurate?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay, Miss
Lashavia is
Xavier, calm.
calm.
All right,
Calm.
Yolanda,
Yeah.
calm.
Come on
Okay.
now.
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
come on. These are how we see ourselves. This is how we when we walk through our daily walk, trouble with a curve, life throws whatever at us. And this is the way that we respond when trouble comes. But I just want to share with you, I like to go to the Bible a little bit. I would just want to
Come on,
share with
preach.
you what the Bible says. And I'm going to go to First Peter 2:9. And the Bible says, but you're a chosen generation. You're a royal priesthood
Come
and a
on.
holy nation, a peculiar person. What chosen person means that you're picked out for God. You're elected and you are selected. So you've been chosen. So you're just not here just because. I know trouble comes, but you're not here just because. You're here because you were chosen. You're part of the priesthood. You have the
Yes.
ability to do certain things. Priests have a certain order of business set aside. And so that was God has given us. He's chosen us and he made us a part of royal priesthood, but also he made us a holy nation. And he said, I put you aside, I anointed you for such a time as this. And
Mm-hmm.
it peculiar. Now, when I look at this word, it's not what, see, this is why you have to really study, because it's not that you're strange or odd. That's not what that word means. It says, people for God's possession, keeping safe, preserving, and his property. So you have to understand who you are. You're chosen, you're royal, you're holy, and you're peculiar. In other words, God had already, before you came into this world, he already knew who you was. He said, I've chosen you to do this work. I've chosen you to be a cook. I've chosen you to start that business. I've chosen you to do whatever that thing God had placed in your heart. He said, I chosen you. And he said, I put my hand on you. I anointed you. I appointed you for that. That's why nobody else can do it like you. Other people can do the same job, but they'll never do it like you. Why? Because you were
Mm.
chosen and you're
Come
royal.
on
And
now.
and also you're holy. And God says that I called you. You're my possession. I'm keeping you safe. That's what that means. When it said peculiar, he said, I'm keeping you safe. I'm preserving you because I got some stuff for you to do. But in order for you to do it, you got to understand not only how you view yourself, but you got to know how I view you. You got to determine how I see you. There's trouble with a curve, but even with
Mm-hmm.
the curve, every now and then, God still can bless it. Even when everything is topsy turvy and don't look like nothing going right, it looks like people losing a job. But isn't that something? How so many people lost their job, but you still got yours. So
Come
don't tell
on.
me God's hand is not on you. So the way you describe yourself is beautiful, ladies, and gents, but the way God see you is even the more beautiful. Well, just know, there's trouble with the curve. There's
Wow.
trouble with the curve.
Oh, come on. Little screen. All right. Let's go.
Yo, it's okay.
There it is.
All right. Double, double, tall and trouble. Fire burns, cauldron, bubble. That was a Macbeth, Act 4, Scene 1. And scene 10 through 11. That's when with three witches was causing havoc and poison, and it was waiting for the king to come. But tonight, I want to look at this just a little bit different. I just wanted to use that topic because life can't call you double double tall and trouble. There will be times when you have double trouble, triple trouble, and don't look trouble just everywhere. But tonight, just trouble. But tonight, I want to talk about trouble are guidelines, not stop signs.
Mm-hmm.
Trouble are guidelines, not stop signs. Sometimes God allow you to go through trouble to teach lessons. Problems really are opportunities waiting to happen.
Mm.
So sometimes we can take a problem and turn that around for our good. See, I've learned a lesson, Anita, in this walk. See, either I'm going to ride the train or I'm going to drive it. I just decided I'm going to drive the train because there are some places I want to get to. And I can't allow life situations to get in my way. I can't allow the situation to stop me on to the next level. And so every step we've made, even with the movement, every step we made, it's been guidelines. Okay, so we'll say, okay, we did this. We're not going to do that anymore. We did this. We're not going to do that anymore. And so it creates an opportunity for us to learn. It creates an opportunity for us to get better. It creates an opportunity for us to really fortify ourselves. So when that trouble comes again, we're ready for it because it gives us a guideline and it's not a stop sign. See what happens with us, Miss Anita? A lot of times people want to stop when trouble comes.
Come
They
on.
don't want to go. They don't want to go through nothing. They want to give up, and because it didn't happen last year, and because it didn't happen the year before. But I believe 2020 is the year, even with everything that's going on. So understand that
Mm-hmm.
problems that you go through is just a guideline to get you where you're going. Because you do understand, before we had GPS, we had to use maps. And so what we would do with the maps, we would open up the maps and we would get a pen, and then we would take and take the pen and guide it to where we were going. And so we want to determine how far is it going to be and about how long it's going to take us to get there. So along the way, there will be stop signs. And
Come
stop
on.
signs are temporary. You understand that, right? Because when you stop,
Mm-hmm.
you don't stop there to stay. When I come to a stop sign, I stop, I look both ways, and I keep going if it's nothing coming. And that's how you got to do with life. Every now and then things will come up and there's a stop sign, but you look both ways. Sometimes you got to look in the front, sometimes you got to look in the back. And once you get the okay, it's time to keep going. So you don't allow the stop sign to keep you there forever. You'll never get where you're going. So
Right.
problems are only guidelines to get, not stop signs. And then my next point is decision. Walk away or try harder. You can just walk away and give up or try harder. Problems are temporary. God is eternal.
Come on.
If harder don't work, try softer. See, because sometimes we try to run too fast and too hard. So I've learned if I can't walk, then I'll crawl. And sometimes I got to tiptoe where I'm going. I got to move a little soft. But I have to keep going because I cannot allow life to stop me from getting where I need to go. And I have to know that I'm going to keep knocking on the door to somebody answer. I know somebody came to my house and they were just knocking. I said, don't they say I don't want to come to the door. But that person was determined, I'm going to knock until she comes to this door, until he comes to this door. And that's how life is, y'all. We got to
Uh-huh.
keep knocking. We got to keep going. We got to keep persevering. We got to keep going, even though
Right.
sometimes it's hard. But you got to make a decision. You got to make a decision.
Right.
It's will, not skill, keep you going. It's will. not your skill that keep you going. Let me say it, it's
It's
will, not
will.
your skill that keep you
Yes.
going. Because skill, you could be skillful and don't do anything. And you may not even have as much skill as the next person,
Come
but
on
because you
now.
have the will, you're still going. And so that's why some people succeed and some don't. And you wonder why, because they decided, so I'm gonna keep going, even though it don't look like I'm gonna make it. It don't look like I'm gonna get to the next level, but I'm gonna keep going. So it's my will, Nita. It's our will, not
Our
necessarily
will.
our skill. Now
Yes.
we do need to be skillful,
Hmm.
but we got to take that will and hook it to the skill, and we can get to the next level. And next, there's trouble, no progress. You do know that this walk is not going to be easy. You do know there's going to be trouble along the way.
Hmm.
But I think trouble comes to make us strong. I was thinking about, even in my life, I used to cry all the time. Okay, every little thing. Every little thing come along, because I was in that time in my life where I was going through whatever my issues were, and so
Hmm.
I had no fight. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't. Have you ever been where you had no fight? You had no fight, and that's why I was struggling. So I had to understand that my struggling did not mean I was going to fail. It just was getting me in shape for my progression. So when
Hmm.
you get in shape, like if you're getting ready to run, I can't just go out there. I can't even walk far, let's no run. So
Hmm.
I remember I was going to cause myself going to go out and run at the park, and I saw somebody run. This guy came by me. I said, "Oh no, I didn't know who he was." I said, "Oh, he trying me." Now the man didn't even know who I was, and I decided I was going to run. Child, I probably ran about 5 steps. You know why? Because I had not got myself in shape. So what trouble does, it gets you in shape. It gets you to the place that you need to be. It fortifies you.
Hmm.
It builds you up. So even when you look back over your life, and you look all the things that you've been through, and you say, I remember, Nita, you said you used to dream a lot, and
Yes.
how in your dreams that this was going to happen and that was going to happen, and God allowed you to see some of those dreams.
Hmm.
But I guarantee you, along the way, you didn't just wake up one day and end up in another country. There was some trouble along the
Oh
way.
yes.
There was some struggles along the way. There was
Yes.
some
Yes.
disappointments along the way. So we have to understand that our struggles is just what we need. Because if everything is just laid out to us, we would not appreciate it. So that's why I appreciate where I'm at so much, because of what I've been through. I've been through some stuff. I've
Hmm.
been through some stuff that people probably would have. I've known people who couldn't have made it, but
Hmm.
that was my lot in life, and that's what I had to get through. And so I'm so appreciative, and
Hmm.
I'm so blessed. And finally, I want to end with this: a love letter to my trouble. I'm going to read this love letter I wrote to my trouble. See, because I had to, how when you have to tell people how you feel. So I'm going to tell trouble how I'm feeling.
All right
Trouble
now.
got trouble needs to know.
Trouble
Okay,
need to know how you feel.
trouble needs to know. There's something that I need to tell you. I won't stand here and complain about you. I will try to solve you and keep moving. I will never bring the problem solving stage into my decision making stage.
Mm.
Otherwise, I would have to surrender myself to the problem rather than the solution. I understand life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. The problem is not that there are problems. The problem is expecting otherwise and thinking that having problems is a problem. So I thank you for all my problems. I thank you, problems, for my problems, because they
Oh,
made me become a better person. Sincerely, and that. So double toil and trouble. I thank you, sir, for all the trouble you caused me, because
yeah.
this love letter lets you know that I appreciate it. I thank you, but now I'm getting ready to leave you. A love letter to my trouble.
Yes, that was cool. I love that. A love letter to my trouble. See ya. Well, and hey, and the funny thing is, this love letter it segues right into my last slide here.
It does.
No longer a damsel in distress.
Oh, come on.
No longer a damsel in distress. Let me tell you, there comes a point in time, especially when it comes to certain issues and problems and circumstances, that you have to take down that victim sign. There are some things that you have to determine within yourself. I will no longer be a victim to that. I will no longer allow myself to be subjected to that. Because there are some things that we do experience and we suffer over and over and over again. And we find ourselves making the same distress calls over and over again. But I'm here to tell you, I have served notice to a lot of situations in my life that I am no longer a damsel in distress to that. Period. And to further extend my period, you see me rolling my neck in that. To further extend that, I interrupt this program.
Okay.
See, I know sometimes, and I can hear it from like either it's the Amber Alert, you hear the Amber Alert coming on your phone, right? So it's only a matter of minutes before it comes on to the television, and you hear that same little screaming sound, that screech, screech, screech. That's that signal when it's bad weather or when there's been a kidnapping. You'll hear that thing come on, and then you hear the person come on. And sometimes even when it's a test, they'll come on and say, "This is a test from the emergency broadcast system. We interrupt this program," and they'll tell you that they're interrupting something that is already going on. So I had to step into some situations and just interrupt the program. And I'm going to deal with that verb for a second. The word interrupt means to break in uniformity or continuity of. Transitively, it means to break the uniformity. That uniform thing that caused you to be in that place time and time again. That person who knew how to push your buttons. That situation that always takes you over the top. And it's just like the enemy knows. He knows the things that are going to set you up, and you have got to have. Those are the things that make you that you have to say, you know what? I will no longer be a victim to this. I am no longer going to be the damsel in distress because I know the enemy is going to send that one thing, going to send that one person. And it's almost like, you see it coming. You're like, oh goodness, there she goes. She going to say something and it's going to set me off. And you already know because you can feel yourself wailing up. You know that person or that situation that can set you off. Oh my goodness. But you have to come to the conclusion and say, you know what? I interrupt this program. That I will no longer be a victim of this. I'm going to break the uniformity and the continuity of this situation, that this person or this situation will no longer be allowed to come and set the tone for what I'm feeling. I'm going to, and when you interrupt something intransitively, because remember, transitive needs the object. Intransitively just is. Intransitively says, we're going to break this up upon action. That means the moment you get there, boom, it's going to blow up like a weapon of mass destruction. I interrupt you. You will not wreak havoc here today. No, not today. Not today, not yesterday, not no days. Because I've learned to do what the Bible says in Psalms 50:15. God says, call upon me in the day of trouble, and I shall rescue you, and you will honor me. See, when we make God bigger, when we start worshiping God and feel and see how much bigger He is than all of the problems and all the naysayers and the foolishness and the people in your ear and all the junk that's going on, trying to interrupt what God has you doing, trying to interrupt your own situation, trying to wreak havoc over your ministry, over your business, over your organization, or whatever it is that you're set out to do. Whatever is on assignment for you, you have to interrupt that thing. You say, you know what? Because I've already had a talk with my Father, and He said He's going to rescue me, and all I got to do is honor Him. Boom. Boom, y'all. Interrupted. Period. Interrupted. Who is that? Was that me?
No.
Oh, yes, it was. It was. Secondly, how do you spell relief? Because when I know that I am not a victim anymore. I have come to the conclusion that I have, stepped out of victim mode, and I am stepping into Victory. I'm stepping into victory. A while ago, it must have been about 2 years ago, and that we did a acronym for victory, meaning
Uh-huh.
vehemently inspired to celebrate triumphantly and overtly while restoring you.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
I forgot about that.
Vehemently inspired to celebrate triumphantly. I'm going to celebrate triumphantly. I'm vehemently inspired to celebrate triumphantly and overtly while restoring myself. I will restore to the, you know what? Restoration is a good thing. When you've been down and when you've been in distress, when you've been hurt, when you've been depressed, I don't know if anybody, if you've ever suffered any minute of depression, you will understand that is such a dark place, and it is of the devil, because it plays with your mind and your spirit, and you become weakened. And it takes some serious prayer and some work to come out of that mode and to stay out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I need that relief, because I'm no longer a damsel in distress. I've called upon God. I've interrupted the program because I know that I've changed the sign of who I am. I am no longer a victim, but I'm a victor, and I walk in victory. I'm vehemently inspired to celebrate triumphantly and overtly while restoring myself. And I want you guys to put that in your spirit, that you're restoring you. You're restoring you. Yes, yes, yes. And there's no place like home. See, when you are, let me tell you something. When you're in a place of distress and you have figured out how to fix that situation, a lot of times when we're in those dark places, it's because we have strayed so far away. We strayed so far away from who we are. We strayed so far away from prayer, from God, from people, from family, from the true friends who probably were the ones that were telling you the truth and not telling you what you wanted to hear. And perhaps the ones who told you what you wanted to hear, they're not even there anymore to cushion the fall. Oh, but like the prodigal son, you can always come back to a place of safety, to a place of refuge, to a place of peace, and be like Dorothy, clicking those heels 3 times, saying
Mm-hmm.
there's no place like home, because there is no place like home. It's not necessarily about geography, but it's about a place of a state of mind, a place where you stand firmly in peace and safety, and you know that you are in the right place. Because when you stray, when imagine if the astronauts hadn't called and said, Houston, we've had a problem. There are problems that can happen out in space, and if something goes wrong, they could be drifting out there forever. They could have drifted off. I've seen many uh, documentaries and stuff about spacewalks and how it's important for them to connect themselves to the base, because there's no gravity. And when you start drifting and drifting and drifting, you'll be drifting out in an abyss where you can't survive. You can't survive out there. So you have to put yourself back to where there's some gravity, where there's some foundation. There is no place like home. I want y'all to type that in. There's no place like home. There is no place like home. Home is where your heart is. I hear people say home is where the heart is. Home is where there's safety. Home is where there's peace. Home is where there's refuge. Home is where somebody's going to tell you the truth. And home is where somebody's going to love you unconditionally. There is no place like home. And lastly, once they were landed safely, of course, their mission is complete. The mission is accomplished, meaning it's fulfilled. Your mission is going to be fulfilled. You are not going, listen, God's word does not return void in that.
Yeah.
If God said something to you, and I heard you go into prophetic mode tonight, I'm expecting great things. Now, I'm not going to sit around here and just wait and looking for the dollar sign. No, that means that I need to get to work and be prepared for when the dollar sign hits.
Mm-hmm.
I understand prophecy, and I understand how God works, and I understand the mission that is at hand. I understand what we are set here to do. So I understand that, yes, prophecy has gone forth. Yes, there have been great things spoken. Yes, God said it, and that settles it. And when the time comes, the mission will be accomplished. And when the mission is accomplished, that means it's fulfilled. We'll get to that destiny, we'll get to that destination, and guess what? We start a whole new journey because it
Yeah.
doesn't stop. It doesn't stop happening. No, it keeps moving and it keeps moving and it keeps moving. So listen, people, don't be afraid to cry out for help. It's okay. It's okay to tell somebody, I need you. It's okay to admit that you don't know it all. It's okay to admit that you don't have it all.
Yeah.
It's okay. Because guess what? Been there, done that. Been there, done that. But in all of that, we have the victory. Vehemently inspired to celebrate triumphantly and overtly while restoring you. Walk in that. Walk in that victory. Yes, yes. And the doors of the church are open. And as Woo would say, won't you come? I mean, it's just the truth. Woo Woo, Carrie, Annette, Sharon, Sandy, Yolanda, Lashavia, Valerie, whoever's on Facebook. That's just the way it is. That's the story. That's how it goes. And we're encouraged. I don't know about you, but I'm greatly encouraged tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it starts off a little unsettling, a little rocky, but you know, I'm encouraged by this discussion. And
Yeah. Me too.
if anybody wants to say anything, you can feel free to unmute yourself. We have a very quiet bunch. For those of you who are watching us for the first time on Facebook,
Yeah, we do.
they like to cut up in the chat room. But we will say, "Won't you come?" They like to cut up in the chat room, but they don't open up the cameras and they don't talk much. But they're here, and we're glad you guys stopped by tonight. You could have gone anywhere else, but you stopped to have this wonderful discussion with us, and we're glad you did come. We're always ready and willing to serve and to just discuss these things from a very practical place, from a real place. You know, we just like to come from a real place. Anything you want to say in that before we log off?
No, just I just want to say thanks everybody, and we're looking for another Wednesday. Bring somebody with you. We
Mm-hmm.
would appreciate it.
Well, we have come to the close of this particular discussion, and we thank you all for coming again.
Mhm.
And as we say every week, we'll be back next week, same time, same place, different topic. And we'll be right here to discuss it with you. So feel free to come back and
Yes.
join us and bring somebody with you. You all enjoy your week. Have a blessed one. We love you. Mwah. Much love from Movement Worldwide. All
Yes. Thank
righty.
you.
Good night, everybody.
Night. Good night.
Good night. Good night. Good night. Yes, yes, yes.